So I get in here and I'm thinking, yeah, I could do 5 reasons why Colin was in the house. Lo and behold, there's more incriminating evidence that suggests Colin Albert was, in fact, in the house at 34 Fairview at the time that John O'Keefe was killed. Hmm. Now, does that mean Colin Albert killed John O'Keefe? Not necessarily. But there are reasons to believe that he was, at a minimum, there. So, this video will likely go from the top 5 reasons why Colin was in the house at the time of the murder to the top 7 or 8 reasons why.
I just said, I'm going home. My mom wants me home. I love you guys. Bye.
The intention of justice is to see that the guilty people are proven guilty and that the innocent are freed. Only we have a problem here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the I Don't Belong Here show, and I am your host, Samantha Benigno. I am a behavioral scientist, a career psychotherapist, a 6th-year PhD candidate in clinical psychology, a master's level psychologist and counselor. And today, we are discussing Colin Albert. I know there are some of us who very much believe that Colin Albert was home in bed giving mommy and daddy kisses and not at 34 Fairview Road at the time of John O'Keefe's death. And that makes sense. Obviously, Karen Reed is among those people because her civil suit, which I now believe will be in federal court, does not include Colin Albert, at least not yet. So they are amongst those who, at the moment anyway, don't believe that Colin Albert was in the house, or at least don't have enough evidence to prove that Colin Albert was in the house. But I am someone who isn't quite so sure. But today I came with receipts to explain very clearly to you why it is that I cannot say Colin Albert wasn't in the house when John O'Keefe was murdered. Number 7, Steve Scanlon.
So my first inkling that this was going to be something different was when I saw the manslaughter charge, that she was likely going to be facing a charge of motor vehicle homicide, which is, it's often prosecuted in district court. It doesn't even get indicted in Massachusetts. And then, that afternoon after arraignment, I go back to my home office where I'm sitting right now and, call back somebody who had called the office to say, hey, you got to look at the people inside that house, the homeowner and his nephew.
And I think he's definitely a former Boston cop. Now he's a private investigator. And I know as a fact that on February 2nd, he went to David Yannetti. And I know this happened because I talked to Steve Scanlon on the phone. We had a conversation. He confirmed it to me. He tracked him down after court and was the first person to tell David Yannetti that John O'Keefe was in that house and that he was beaten up and put on the lawn.
Now, this guy is a longtime affiliate of Brian Albert Sr., and the two both represented the Boston Police Department boxing team way back in the day. Oh, the irony of that. It has never been clear, at least not to me, whether or not he was basing his opinion on facts, something hearsay, something he heard from somebody else, or if it was just his knowledge and awareness of the kind of people that Brian Albert and his nephew Colin Albert were that made him think, oh, yeah, you definitely got to look at the people in this house. But either way, it's important. And here is allegedly what Scanlon told Yannetti. And when, to be fair, he was asked to put pen to paper in an affidavit, he disappeared. So here is his story. Colin and Brian beat up John, broke his nose, and knocked him out. A couple hours later, John was convulsing and vomiting everywhere. Brian Albert and Brian Higgins wait until 3 or 4 in the morning and place John at the edge of the property. He told us this 2 days after John died. He said John fell backwards when he became unconscious and split his head open. Number 6, Colin's issues with John in the past.
With regard to your son, Colin, he obviously lived in the same neighborhood as John O'Keefe because that's where your family lived, correct?
Correct.
And back in 2022, Colin Albert was 17 years old?
Correct. Part of the year.
Though Christopher Albert denies this during his testimony in the first Karen Reed trial, he doesn't do a great job.
Can you explain for the jury who or what is Nebercracker?
Oh, get off my lawn! Oh, trespasser! Do you want to be eaten alive? No! Then get out of here!
Like the character?
That's what I'm asking.
It's a character in a cartoon called Monster House.
And would you agree with me that Nebercracker in the movie Monster House was this kind of old curmudgeon who didn't want anybody on his lawn, correct?
The character, yes.
He was the get off my lawn guy, correct?
In the movie, yeah.
What was your nickname and your wife Julie's nickname for John O'Keefe?
Mr. Nebercracker.
All right. And your wife Julie actually had John O'Keefe plugged into his contacts as Nebercracker, correct?
Correct.
This whole nickname started because of a conflict that Colin Albert had with John O'Keefe.
Not correct.
Not correct is the choice of language here. We have not heard that phrase from Chris yet. And when there's a change in language, it's something to pay attention to.
John O'Keefe complained to you about things that Colin was doing.
Not correct.
He would tell you that Colin used to throw beer cans or beer bottles in his bushes, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
No, you can answer that. What's your answer to that?
That is not correct.
John O'Keefe
probably
told
is
you
correct.
that Colin used to flip him off, correct?
Not correct.
And say F you to him.
Fuck you. Flip it off.
Fuck you and your fucking mom, dude.
Yep.
Fuck you.
Facts.
John O'Keefe told you that Colin used to flip him off, correct?
Not correct.
And say F you to him.
Never.
Colin used to cut through his...
So when you hear things like 100% or never, you can pretty much guarantee it's a lie.
I knew him because I knew that my parents were friendly with him. And I knew he lived at the top of our street. That's how I knew him. I'd drive by every now and then. He'd be outside and I would wave. He'd wave back. That was pretty much it.
Arguments or anything that you would ever had with Mr. O'Keefe?
Never.
And how would you describe Mr. O'Keefe from your perspective as far as how would you describe him as a person?
A nice guy, a good guy.
Thank you, Daddy.
yard.
Nope, that was Dylan.
Nope.
You knew John didn't like people cutting through his yard, correct?
No, I don't know that to be true.
Keep talking, Chris, because this is exactly what I mean. These people just shoot themselves in the foot, proving over and over again that they are totally full of it. Over and over and over again.
Okay. So is it your testimony that John O'Keefe invited kids to cut through his lawn all the time?
I don't understand. Is that a question?
It was a question. I guess let me withdraw that and ask this. If John O'Keefe is never cracked, and he's the get off your lawn guy, are you denying that he doesn't like people cutting through his lawn? With regard to that first photo,
Come on, that's funny.
Well, first of all, whose house is that in the background?
That's John's.
Wife Julie on the left?
Correct.
We have the second photo, please.
It's funny. It is funny. Oh my God.
Okay.
That's
that is
funny.
also
Okay.
John's house in the background there.
Correct.
And again, that's you on the right and Julie on the left, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can take that photo down.
That's funny. Very funny.
Context to the text that you sent him on January 28th when you were trying to get him to come out and you threatened to, quote, fuck up his lawn if he didn't come out that night.
And the problem with this testimony is that, well, just like all the rest, it's total bullshit. They did have problems in the past. And the problem here is if they did have problems in the past and Colin Albert isn't in the house at 34 Fairview Road, why not just admit to it? Because who cares? He wasn't in the house. Or even if he was in the house and John never came into the house, then why lie? Why not just tell the truth? This is the problem that these people have, right? This is what I mean when I say they are the problem. It's not people like me or Aiden or anybody else that's conjuring crap. It's coming from them. It's coming from you. You and your mouths. Not only that, Karen Reed was the one who apparently very quickly identified that Colin Albert was somebody that John O'Keefe had had issues with because they were neighbors. And as a result, well, from what you know about Colin Albert, would you want him as your neighbor? Number 5, Colin's award-winning personality.
Please, before I hit the shit, before I run your shit, before I fucking chug a beer and hit that shit.
You indicated on cross-examination you've never been in a fight.
No.
Indicating that you have no violent tendencies and no violent proclivities, correct?
Nope.
You stand by that testimony?
Correct.
Yo, you're Benton's boys. I will beat all your asses. I promise you, I will fuck you all up. Pull up, bitch.
Fight or any even a physical interaction with these other kids?
Never.
Did you ever even meet them face to face?
Never.
You're a bitch, bro. Fuck you. Yeah, fuck you, pussy.
Someone walks up to you. I'm not going to do it. But if someone did, walked up to you and said, I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. You wouldn't take that as a threat?
If they walked up to me, yeah.
But if they didn't walk up and just shouted it across the street and stood there and said, I will fuck you up, I will beat your ass. That's not a threat.
I'm not sure.
Were you threatening these Advantage Boys guys, whoever they are?
Yeah, kinda.
Were you threatening them with violence?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
With regard to Mr. O'Keefe, your neighbor who lived at the top of the street when you lived at Seven Meadows, you ever threaten him?
Never.
Did he ever threaten you?
Never.
Do you ever have any sort of back and forth exchange similar to what was up on the screen?
Never.
Fuck you. Flip it off.
Fuck you and your fucking mom, dude.
Yep.
Fuck you.
Facts.
No. Number 4, the behavior of Chris Albert. The behavior of Chris Albert is quite curious. Now, originally, it was Ms. Jennifer McCabe who tipped me off to just how bizarre it actually was.
Chris Albert is a Canton Select Board member, is that right?
Now he is, yes.
You would agree with me that one of your functions as a selectman is to oversee public safety in the town?
Yes.
And you would agree that the police department is a key component of public safety in the town of Canton?
Yes.
Okay, note something important here. Just like the last time we saw him freak out in some way during the testimony in a way that was deceptive, he also readjusts his position in the chair and does a lot of touching of different parts of his body, his ear, his head. This is a tell. Chris, don't play poker.
So part of your duties as a town selectman is to oversee the Canton Police Department, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll let him have it. Is that one of your duties, sir?
I believe so. I'm new at the, I'm recently elected, so I'm just going through it. But yeah, I believe so.
There's nothing evil here.
And then it wasn't until I went back and listened carefully to the cross-examination of Christopher Albert in trial number 1 that I then realized.
And you became a town selectman shortly after Kenny Berkowitz retired, correct?
I'm not sure when Kenny retired.
Then the day after the verdict, the House defendants make the decision to go on ABC with Matt Gutman and do a tell-all about how we're all following some blueprint to get witnesses to not testify. I mean, it's just absurd. I don't know how Brian Albert says these things without laughing. It's so absurd. But I digress. Here's the question. What the hell is Chris Albert doing there?
For the first time, some of the key players in the Karen Reed trial sitting down for an exclusive interview. His friend, Jennifer McCabe, and her husband, Matt, former Boston Police Sergeant Brian Albert, and his wife, Nicole, and his brother, Chris Albert.
Why else continue to elevate your status? You know, these people say they don't want to be in the public spotlight, and then Christopher Albert, who has nothing to do with this case at all, nothing, puts himself on ABC Nightline with Matt Gutman? Come on.
And I think the reason we all stayed quiet is because we were just witnesses. This is a thing that we had nothing to do with.
Does anybody else see the absurdity of this? No, Chris, nothing you had anything to do with. Right? You see how they're using Chris to try to make themselves all seem innocent? Like, well, he is legitimately innocent. Not his son, but he is. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's no reason for Christopher Albert to be up there, except or unless it's to try to protect and defend Colin Albert.
What they've done is they've dehumanized us to the sense where we're not real people. We're almost like caricatures. We're pawns.
No, Chris, that's you guys. You're doing that, not us. Nobody else is doing anything. You guys testify across 2 trials and tell outrageous lies. Outrageous lies. Your son being among the worst offenders. And you want to know why people are making you characters? Are you serious? It's insulting. Well, there's really only one reason why Christopher Albert is on this panel, and that is to protect his son, Colin. And so you see, when you think about why it would be that a man who's worked in food service for the last 30 plus years.
I'm self-employed. I own a small pizza shop.
What's the name of the pizza?
It's called D&E Pizza.
And how long have you owned that?
25 years this March.
And Prior to that, did you work sort of in the same industry?
Same industry pretty much my whole life.
Would all of a sudden decide to run for town selectman? It makes perfect sense if the goal is to stay in town and keep your finger or your thumb on the pulse of, let's say, I don't know, local politics or maybe the local law enforcement situation.
You get down, you get depressed, and it's like, but this is the town we grew up in. We didn't do anything wrong. We all contributed to our town. We love our town. Why should we have to go anywhere?
And that, as it turns out, is precisely what Chris Albert gets to do on the select committee.
So part of your duties as a town selectman is to oversee the Canton Police Department, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll let him have it. Is that one of your duties, sir?
I believe so. I'm new at that. I'm recently elected, so I'm just going through it. But yeah, I believe so.
Isn't that a coincidence? Number 3, a very weak alibi. Now, this part gets interesting. It's really hard to know where to start because of all of the, well, egregious lying, like always.
You drove the 2 friends that you were with earlier home, and then you went somewhere else?
Yes, I believe, yes.
Is at that point did you get a text from Colin?
Yes.
And how is it that she makes you aware that she's at home?
I got a text message from her that says I'm here.
What, if any, communication did you send to Colin?
I texted him saying, here.
You come out, that's in the driveway, correct?
Correct.
And when he comes out of the house, about how long a period of time was it from the time that you texted him here to the time that he comes out to the car?
I'm not sure. A few minutes.
Between 30 seconds and a minute, I'd say.
And after you texted that to Colin, he comes out of the house, is that correct?
Correct.
And when you came out of the house, do you recall which door you came out at that point?
The side door next to the garage.
There were 2 doors in the front of the house, is that right?
Yes.
And do you know which of the 2 doors Colin came out of?
No, I'm not sure.
And when he came down, he came over to the car, correct?
Yes.
And you're in the driveway?
Yes.
And when you came out that door, who, if anyone, did you encounter as you were coming out?
As I was walking out, I saw my Uncle Brian and my Aunt Nicole.
And you were going out, and what were they doing?
They were coming in.
And in addition to your Uncle Brian and your Aunt Nicole, was there anybody else that you recall that was with them when they came into the house?
No, not that I remember.
And in the area around the time that you arrived on Fairview Rd, what, if anything, do you recall in regard to the weather, or what was it doing at that?
I believe it was starting to snow. Nothing crazy.
As far as accumulation, what, if anything, did you observe at that time?
Lights on in the house. That's it. Lights on in the house. That's it.
As I was walking out, I saw my Uncle Brian and my Aunt Nicole.
Well, putting aside for a moment the fact that she was asked a question about snow accumulation and she answered something to do with what's going on in the house, it's funny how she doesn't mention seeing her aunt and uncle coming in to the house while Colin is coming out. You'd think that's something she might remember, no?
You wouldn't have gotten into the house until, what, 12:15? Maybe 15 minutes for all that?
I would put it more, maybe 10 past 12.
Okay. 12:10 or so?
That would just be a guess.
So it could have been 12:15.
Yeah, and it could have been 12:07.
Who was inside the house when you walked in?
My nephew Colin, my son Brian, and then he had 2 friends, female friends. I believe it's Sarah and Julie.
What were they doing inside the house?
They were sitting at the kitchen table.
Came back downstairs from the bathroom, or came out of the bathroom, wherever it was. You no longer saw Colin.
Yes, prior to going to the bathroom, Colin had said that he was getting picked up.
But you never saw him leave?
No.
You didn't see him leave the house, and you didn't see him get picked up by anybody?
I did not.
You didn't see a car outside waiting for him, correct?
I didn't, no.
It was literally, I was coming in, I think we almost bumped into each other. I said, I didn't realize he was there. I said, hey, what are you doing here?
Can we talk about the absurdity of this question? And Caitlin tries to say the same thing. So we know that mom rehearsed with Caitlin. That's not the only reason we know that. Their testimonies are almost identical. The problem is, it's Brian Albert Jr.'s birthday. What do you mean? What are you doing here? What kind of question is that? You know why he's there. Are these people stupid? Like, what goes on? Why would you ask that question? And why would you tell us you asked that question?
He said, oh, I just come by to see Brian, but my ride's on its way. I'm about to leave. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, all right, I see ya. And he just kind of continued on. I think he must have went out the door.
You mean none of you are telling us the truth about where Colin was at this time and what he was doing? Well, that's interesting. Not exactly how we expect innocent people to behave, though, is it?
So when you first testified, I believe you stated that you saw Colin seated at the table with Brian Jr., correct?
When I testified, when?
Earlier today.
I don't believe I said that.
Shortly after he got up.
No, I don't believe I said that.
And in addition to your Uncle Brian and your Aunt Nicole, was there anybody else that you recall that was with them when they came into the house?
No, not that I remember.
And just to be clear, sort of when you walk into that front door with the foyer area, what, if anything's right in front?
So when I first walked in, I actually had seen my cousin Colin. He was standing in the foyer area.
So does anyone want to point out what's just terribly wrong with this sentence, or do I need to do it?
So when I first walked in, I actually had seen my cousin Colin. He was standing in the foyer area. And I remember I said to him, like, oh, hi, what are you doing?
Now, Mr. Albert, just one last question. When it came to your arrival at 34 Fairview Road on the evening of, or the early morning of January 29th, when you were leaving, beyond your Uncle Brian and your Aunt Nicole, did you see anybody else older than yourself or anybody else related to that group?
Listen to this question.
Beyond your Uncle Brian and your Aunt Nicole, did you see anybody else older than yourself or anybody else related to that group?
It is so absurd. No, just one last question. Did you see anybody older than yourself and related to that group? He's like, did you see anybody first name begins with a C and last name begins with an A?
Come into the house that evening?
No.
He gets into what part of the car? Front passenger seat?
Yes, I believe.
Do you recall whether or not it was parked on the left side or the right side of the driveway?
I do not remember.
I believe in the driveway on the left side. Not entirely sure, I just believe that. Not entirely sure, I just believe that.
And you get into the vehicle. Which part of the vehicle did you get into?
That I do not remember.
Front seat, passenger side. Does that sound right?
Could have been that, yeah.
You recall?
Could have been that, yeah.
You recall? He gets into what part of the car? Front passenger seat.
Yes, I believe.
Recall whether or not there was anybody else in the vehicle at the time that you got in?
I do not remember that.
Do you recall whether or not there was anybody else in the vehicle at the time that she had dropped you off at that location?
I do not remember that either. It's right in the center of Canton near the Seasons gas station.
And is that a single-family house or a multi-family house, or what is it?
It is a condominium.
Chris and Julie Albert, Colin's parents, are his alibi for the night in question.
Now, would you agree with me that of the group that you had met out, that you were the last person to leave the waterfall on January 29th of 2022?
I believe so.
Now, you previously, you testified on direct examination today, I believe, that you thought you got home between 12:05 and 12:10 a.m. on January 29th, correct?
It's what I remember.
If I suggested to you that you didn't even leave the bar until 12:13 a.m., would you quarrel with that?
Who came home first, your husband Christopher or your son Colin?
My husband.
Do you know about what time that was?
I want to say about after 12, maybe 12:10, around there.
So sometime around 12:10?
Sometime around 12:10, yes.
Do you know who that person is who's leaving the bar at this point at 12:13 and 43 a.m.?
I believe it's me.
Tim.
That would mean it would have been impossible for you to get home to Maple Street by 12:05 or 12:10, correct?
Correct.
I'm not asking about the distance between D&E and your home. I'm trying to compare, or ask you to compare, the distance between D&E and the waterfall, and then the waterfall and your home. Do you see the difference?
I think so.
Would you agree with me that your home is farther from the waterfall than D&E Pizza is from the waterfall?
I don't follow you, I'm sorry.
Okay. You would agree with me that it would take you longer to walk home from the waterfall than it would take you to walk to the waterfall from D&E Pizza?
Correct.
All right. And I believe you said that one walk was 7 minutes and one walk was maybe less than 5 minutes, correct?
Yes.
All right. The 7-minute walk would have been the walk home as opposed to the walk to the waterfall, correct?
Yes.
Were you essentially waiting up for him?
Oh, yes. Yep.
And is that sort of common practice?
Yes, I do not go to bed until my kids are home.
I always tell my mom and my dad that I'm home and usually go up to their bedroom, give them a hug goodnight, tell them I love them, and then go down to bed. I always tell my mom and my dad that I'm home and usually go up to their bedroom, give them a hug goodnight, tell them I love them, and then go down to bed.
And did you do that on that occasion?
Yes.
So sort of immediately when you come home, you go right up to your parents' room?
Yes.
And your son Colin, have you been in communication with
Yes.
him over the evening?
Yes.
And about how long was it after your husband came home that your son Colin came?
10 to 15 minutes.
And is there another common practice as far as when your kids come home, where do they go when they first come in?
They immediately will always come in the door, maybe grab a water out of the fridge and come upstairs and give me a kiss goodnight and tell me that they're home.
Do you know about what time was it that you came into the house?
I want to say around 12:20.
You know, Colin, I want to say a lot of things too. Like, I want to say I've got millions of dollars in my bank account, but that doesn't make it true, does it?
And fair to say this is 2.5 years ago and you weren't exactly looking at your watch when you came in, is that right?
Exactly, yes.
Whatever you say, Lally, sure.
Colin came into your room at some point?
Yep, he came right upstairs. Yes.
Talked to him, obviously?
Yes, we talked for a minute. He asked me if I was feeling better. And yeah.
Usually around right around before midnight.
Wait, was I supposed to be home before midnight or just after midnight? Or wait, what time was I supposed to say again? Shit. Before midnight.
And so was it like a hard fast, like 12 o'clock, if you're not here, you're grounded, or was it sort of around that time?
Just around midnight.
You decided not to go to your brother Brian Albert's house, correct?
Correct.
That was in part because you weren't up for the continued partying at that point, correct?
Yeah, I just wanted to go home.
Or your bedroom.
Correct.
Did you fall asleep shortly thereafter?
Soon after.
He's lying.
Within 5 minutes or so? 10 minutes?
I started to doze off. I don't know exactly how soon after I fell asleep.
All right.
It's all bullshit.
Sometime within 5 or 10 minutes, would you say?
I would say more like within 15 minutes.
15 minutes, okay.
Matt McCabe was directing Chris Albert. Chris Albert wasn't even at the house, was he?
Chris Albert was not at the house, no.
Chris Albert was not at the house, no.
With regard to getting home, and we'll call it 12:19, because I think that's more consistent with what you said, understanding that it's just an estimate. If you're walking in the door at 12:19, it takes you maybe a minute to get upstairs?
About a minute.
You believe that you dozed off about 15 minutes later, which would have made it about 12:35?
Somewhere around there.
All right. Now, when you came home, you would agree with me that your son, Colin Albert, was not home, correct?
Not when I first got home.
And in fact, I think your testimony was that 10 minutes after you got home, he opened the bedroom door?
See, this is the alibi.
I think that's what I said, yeah.
Do you want to stick with that?
I'm just trying to recollect what I, thinking it over. So I'm just trying to recollect what I, thinking it over. So.
Number 2, the lying that the House defendants do on the witness stand. Recently going back through the testimony of people like Jennifer McCabe.
I did not delete that search. I never made that search at 2:23. I never would have left John O'Keefe out in the cold to die because he was my friend that I loved.
And Ms. McCabe, just staying with doors for a second, is there another door associated with the garage?
Oh, actually, yeah, there is, right there. And Brian Albert and Brian Higgins were, there's like a room right off of the kitchen, like a TV room, and they were in there just talking. I think Nicole had put up some new pictures, or maybe the sun and the Marines. They might have been looking at a picture. I had a very strong, I think deep down I knew that John was gone, but there's, until you hear it, I think there was that little bit of hope, maybe. Oh my God,
this behavior is just, it's evil. I mean, there's no other way to say it, right? The kind of lying, covering up.
Trooper Proctor, were you using Courtney, your sister, as an intermediary between you and Julie Albert?
Absolutely not.
You list the individuals that were at 34 Fairview as Brian, Mary Kent, Emily Fabiano, Sarah Levinson. Is that correct?
Yes.
What's the one name that was left out of your report on that list?
Objection.
I'll allow it. Was there one name left out? Break that down, Mr. Jackson.
Sure. Isn't it true that in your report you excluded the one name, Colin Albert, from the list of individuals that were in your notes?
Yes, because he arrived later in the evening. The other females were there from the start.
To the side, in the side yard of 34 Fairview, yes.
And on the lawn of 34 Fairview?
Yes.
Where first responders were responding, correct?
Yes.
And you say that night was screaming to the top of her lungs, is that right?
Yes, she was.
And Carrie Roberts screaming back at her?
Yes.
Shut up or shut the fuck up, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then framing of an innocent person, someone did not commit the crime in question, and making these false allegations to intentionally try to put someone in prison, potentially for the rest of their life. And that's not even the worst of it, right? With someone like Jennifer McCabe, she's made John O'Keefe's friend, Carrie Roberts, her best friend, right? What I've called trauma bonded with her.
Also, we had just been through an extremely traumatic event together. There's nothing evil here. I'm just trying to say that it goes from 7:21 to 5:52 to 7:33 to 7:49. There's no order. They're out of order.
And your husband, Matt McCabe, he could hear.
Yes.
Okay. And then when Chris is talking about what happened at Waterfall, you could hear and Brian could hear. In other words, everybody could hear everybody.
Chris came much later. When Chris came, I was almost about to leave.
I'm guessing that the topic of what had happened was still on everybody's mind.
Everybody was trying to figure out what had happened.
And you're discussing it amongst yourselves. That's my point.
With my sister and my brother-in-law and my husband. Correct.
Before you left, you said you were about to leave. Before you left, another Albert came over to the house, correct?
I don't recall seeing him.
Him.
Kevin Albert.
How'd you know I was talking about Kevin Albert?
Because you said another Albert came over, and I was...
6 brothers.
I was told later it was Kevin.
I see. So you believe that Kevin was not there when you were still there?
I was in a state of shock. He may have walked in.
I'm asking, do you remember?
I don't remember it, no.
He could have been.
He could have been, absolutely.
And you knew he was a Canton police officer?
Yes.
Who was the first to leave?
Brian Higgins.
Do you remember about what time he left?
I don't.
And after Mr. Higgins left, do you know who left?
I'm not sure. I believe it was us, and then my niece Caitlin was also like at the door. It was kind of in a row. Brian left, and then a little bit later, I think it was.
She's calling routinely on the telephone, Peg O'Keefe, and even more disgusting, remains close with John's niece and nephew, who he adopted, all the while knowing what really happened to him, knowing who the true murderers are, and knowing that it is not Karen Reed. Now, that is a legitimate argument that people have made to me. Sam, how can you do that if you're not a sociopath? Well, I will give you the answer to that, and this is why I can't drop Colin Albert as a real suspect in this case. Like lying in front of multiple grand juries, to the federal agents, to multiple police departments, and in a court of law. Would I do that to protect Brian Higgins? A guy I don't even know or barely know? Probably not. Would I do that purely at the request of my brother-in-law who I've known since I'm in kindergarten? All right, maybe, but would he ask that of me? See, even if it's just Brian Higgins and Brian Albert who are directly involved, and of course Chloe, that doesn't seem by itself to be enough of a reason to put myself and my family in direct harm's way. But what does make sense, and what may be justifiable, at least to some people, to behave this way, is if you're going to protect a very close friend's child.
You missed a phone call from your best friend, Jennifer McCabe, correct?
Correct. Or a niece, or a nephew, or a close family member.
We have a very close family.
How long have you known Brian Albert?
Since I was in kindergarten.
You consider him, even though he is not blood related to you, you consider him family?
Yes.
In addition to Brian and Nicole Albert, you're also very close with Chris and Julie Albert, correct?
Yes.
Brian Albert's younger brother is Chris Albert, correct?
Yes.
Chris Albert is married to Julie Albert.
Yes.
You consider Chris and Julie family, even though there may not be a blood relation as well, correct?
Yes.
Brian Albert and Chris Albert have another brother named Kevin Albert, correct?
Yes.
Kevin Albert is a detective with a police department, correct?
Yes, I believe that's his title. I'm not
Which
100%.
which police department is Kevin Albert associated with?
Canton.
And you've grown up in Canton your whole life, you indicated.
Yes.
Your entire family has grown up in Canton, correct?
Yes.
And you, Ms. McCabe, have 3 sisters, Nicole.
Allie, her daughter, and Colin grew up together. They were born months apart, I believe. Julie Albert, Colin's mother, is lifelong friends with Jennifer McCabe.
It is my cousin's cousin. So not technically my cousin, but we're close and like we do family events and stuff like that together.
And you and Miss McCabe, are you in the same grade?
Yes.
And how long have you known each other?
My whole entire life.
So not blood related, but someone that you see at family events?
Yes.
And someone that was in the same grade and went to the same school as you?
Correct.
And that school, which school did you go to at that time?
Canton High School.
And obviously, Nicole Albert is the sister-in-law to Colin's dad. And Jen and Nicole are sisters. So this is a close group of people. And even though Colin is not blood related to Jennifer, he's in the family. And he's very close to her daughter.
Who was Colin Albert to you, or can you describe to the jury sort of your relationship with Colin?
I've known Colin since I've been born. Our families are very close. We went to high school together growing up, in the same friend group. So yeah, we're very close.
Very, very close to Allie. Oh, and even maybe the most important of all, Colin is very, very close to his uncle, Brian.
You did give an initial statement on the morning of the 29th to Michael Lank, about 7 a.m., is that right?
Officer Lank was in the house at that time and speaking to all of us, really.
And you've admitted that you have known Michael Lank for many years, is that right?
Yes.
Did you see that as a problem?
In what way?
Conflict of interest?
Objection, Your Honor. During Michael Lank's voir dire in the first trial, Judge CAN'T said something very interesting that most people missed, revealing what happens to you if you arrest an Albert.
The Commonwealth can then get into the animosity between the witness, Sergeant Lank, and Brian Albert because of the arrest of Tim Albert.
The Commonwealth never did get into that animosity, likely because it would have revealed Brian's well-known fiery temper and willingness to bully the local police, hurting the state's case more than helping it. It's important to remember that Tim Albert's arrest happened in 2009. The same year, Brian Albert led the high-profile arrest of the Craigslist killer. Serious power within law enforcement, along with a reputation for being aggressive, and it seems he wasn't afraid to use it to protect his family.
The Albert family is close, correct?
Yes.
If someone had a dispute with a member of the Albert family, Brian wouldn't be happy about that, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
You know that Brian would stick up for your kids, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Your son Colin is particularly close to your brother Brian, is he not?
Objection.
I'll let him have that. Do you know?
Yes.
Hard to imagine that Colin wasn't hanging out with big Uncle Bry, who he seemed to have this worship-like relationship with, according to everyone who is asked about their relationship. Remember, Brian Albert was on the boxing team with the police department. Colin Albert, we know, has a proclivity for fighting and boxing and the whole thing, even though he told us, in a court of law in front of a judge that wasn't the case. We all know that it absolutely is bullshit.
You ever been in a fight, sir?
Other than with my brothers, no.
You've never been in a fight?
Nope.
Your entire life?
Other than with my brothers, no.
You say I make you nervous, a tragedy, I'm a beautiful disaster, a reckoning, you wonder how I got this way. You think I'm someone to be saved, someone to clean up and tame. Oh, some things never change, never change. Oh.
There are videos of him fighting for years before this trial takes place. If you've been following this case at all, you know that Colin lied many, many times. One of the most incriminating facts about this case for Colin Albert is the motive for everybody in that house to continue to keep quiet, right? To me, protecting one of the kids is one of the only motives that makes sense and could explain the egregious and disgraceful lying and disgusting behavior on the part of all of the House defendants and more when it has, in reference to this case from the start. Unless we were dealing with sociopaths, and we aren't. So that points to me in the direction of Colin Albert. And then, of course, the most incriminating evidence that we have for Colin Albert and him being directly involved in the death of John O'Keefe are his words and statements when he was testifying in the court of law for the Karen Reed case.
This is what everyone's been waiting to see. Is there any way that we can definitively say that we know something from this statement? And the answer is yes. Yes, we can.
Was there ever any sort of physical fight or even a physical interaction with these other kids?
Never.
Did you ever even meet them face to face?
Never.
This is what everybody was waiting for here. And it's for ADA Lolly. Let's have him ask those pertinent questions. At any point in time, did your friend group and this hockey team ever meet up at all? Never. Okay, we already know that's a lie. We already saw that before. He answered it the same way before. Never. They definitely did meet up. Now with regard to John O'Keefe, your neighbor who lived a couple doors down, did you ever threaten John? Never. Okay, any animus or any conflict that you can recall ever between yourself and Mr. O'Keefe? Never. Which means, yes, there's animus between them.
Here, that night that you were at 34 Fairview Road at your uncle's house, January 28th and the 29th, at any point in time did you see John O'Keefe at that house, come into that house, around that house, at any point in time that you were there?
Never.
Did he ever threaten you?
Never.
Did you ever have any sort of back and forth exchange similar to what was up on the screen?
Never.
But you've never been in a fight?
Never.
Have you received any sort of training in boxing, taken classes, anything like that?
Never.
And at any point in time, did your friend group and this club hockey team ever meet up at all?
Never.
With regard to John O'Keefe, your neighbor who lived a couple doors down, did you ever threaten John O'Keefe?
Never.
John O'Keefe ever threaten you?
Never.
Did you ever get in an argument about girls?
Nope.
Any animus or any conflict that you can recall ever between yourself and Mr. O'Keefe?
Never.
Here, that night that you were at 34 Fairview Road at your uncle's house, January 28th and the 29th, at any point in time did you see John O'Keefe at that house, come into that house, around that house, at any point in time that you were there?
Never.
At any point in time did you see John O'Keefe at that house, come into that house, around that house, at any point in time that you were there?
Never.
It is the defense counselor's duty to protect the rights of the individual, as it is the prosecution's duty to uphold and defend the laws of the state. Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.